Mental Performance Podcast.
Welcome back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast, the only podcast that former Licey baseball great Enrique Byroneses makes players fuerta en la cabeza. El lugar es aquí, el momento es ahora. Wherever you are, the place is here. The time is now. We're taking it from the clouds to the dirt where it can grow, one episode at a time. It's about showing up, being present over perfect, knocking down those mental and oftentimes emotional barriers so you can perform with confidence and consistency because you want to go to the ballpark, not the amusement park. Episode 152 today, as we continue on with our mini book breakdown of lessons from The Mental Keys to Hitting by H.A. Dorfman. Or those of you in the know, Harvey. What's the A stand for? I don't know. Google it. Maybe attitude, appearance, probably, if knowing Harvey. Perspective, recognizing the real. That's chapter 7. If you're following along at home and you have the book, because I assume if you want to play in the big leagues, you have the book. Let's go forward today and talk about H.A. Dorfman and the mental keys to hitting. He didn't just write about hitting. He wrote about how to fucking think so you can actually hit. Most guys are stuck in their own heads and they let a bad at bat turn into a bad week. They let fear, of failure. Fear is not fuel. Failure is not feedback. Keep them from going up there and being aggressive. They turn baseball into some do or die, life or death crisis when really it's just a game played by guys who are good at putting the wood on the leather. And the players who can zoom out and see the big picture and keep perspective or how you see yourself and the world around you, those guys thrive. Those are the guys that stick around and they don't yo-yo up and down with emotion. So this chapter is, as the title suggests, is about recognizing the real, what actually matters, what actually affects performance, and how your mindset, and again, mindset is how you view yourself and the world around you. That determines whether you own the moment or you get owned by it. You ever meet a guy who acts like every single AB determines his entire future? He makes an out and suddenly he's trash. He can't hit it. This guy's nasty. He goes 3 for 4. Now he's a big leaguer in his mind. He lives up and down and dies with every stat. He doesn't compete to a standard. He's competing to a scoreboard. Every at-bat, every game. This guy's on the fast track to burning out on a bus ride to Sheboygan. Right? And that's not the Winter League. Ask Enrique, right? The DR Winter League is a step away. It's kind of like the Arizona Fall League. But Dorfman talked about a minor leaguer who played and thought he wanted the show so badly that it clouded his vision. The kid said, I want it more than other guys. And maybe he did. And yet he was a fucking miserable dude. His whole identity was wrapped up in baseball. So Dorfman, he ended up asking him a really brutal and honest, below the surface question. And that was, if I could guarantee that you'd make the Grande Ligas, but you had to sacrifice the woman you love, what would you do? And the guy couldn't answer. That's a distorted perspective, thinking that baseball is everything, right? Your identity is wrapped up in the game. Your identity wrapped up in results, in outcome, in winning, in your batting average, in your ERA, all things that we can't control. It comes back to controlling what you can control and letting go of that which you cannot. We cannot be in control of our performance before we're in control of ourselves. It does not work that way. So let's talk a little bit about that distorted perspective that he had. Thinking that baseball is everything and not being able to separate who you are from what you do, separate your identity from the game. Well, if you don't, then it's over. So baseball is what you do. It's not who you are. The guys who survive, who actually have long careers, they understand that. You've got to love the game, but you can't let the game own you. because the game doesn't give a shit about your emotions or if it's hot or if you're tired. It cares how you prepare, what your process is like, how consistent you are, because consistency is your superpower. Doing a little, a lot, not a lot, a little. That's where the growth is. So some of you think you've been buried. Maybe you've been planted for something to grow new and fresh. We are, in fact, in the spring season. It will chew you up and spit you out the moment you stop adapting and self coaching. So keep the big picture in mind. One bad game doesn't define you, one hot streak doesn't mean you've got it all figured out. At the end of the day, your career isn't life or death, it's what you do while you're here that matters. And I've said this before, it's not about what you get, it's about who and what you become. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? That's in Mark 8:36. Look, I'm no theologian, I'm no minister, but I was taught at a young age, maybe kind of adapted to it later here in life, that the Bible is one of the greatest books on success principles on how to live the good life that exists. It's the greatest coaching manual of all time. So start there. Talk to the big man, the grand designer. Here's where people fuck it up. They keep the big picture in mind. They hear that. Let's keep the big picture in mind. And they take it as an excuse to be timid and to not charge on full send, all out, and not hold back. They take it as an excuse to be a little bit passive. Oh, well, baseball isn't life and death, so I don't need to be locked in every pitch mentally and physically. That's what losers say, not learners. And there's only winners and learners, not winners and losers. You only lose if you don't learn. And we know that loss stands for losing. Learning opportunity, stay strong. Learning opportunity, stay strong. When you step in the box, you better shrink the world down to the only thing that matters in that moment, seeing the ball. No history, no future, no thoughts about mechanics, no worrying about the outcome. Dorfman had a simple phrase: think small, think ball. When you're up there, see the fucking ball and hit it. That's it. That's all that matters. You know, Barry Bonds, the greatest baseball player of all time, didn't have the best swing in baseball because it was pretty, although it was the most beautiful thing. He had the best swing because he made hard contact. Manny Ramirez, one of the great right-handed hitters of all time, he said, you can't tell which way it's going to go for you. So you just have to go with it. I'm not going to go crazy about worrying about it. Keep it simple. That's the mindset you need. It's like Andrew Chafin once said to Burns and I after one of the most epic cornhole games of all time, Chafin versus Luis Gonzalez. I think the game was going to 11. It ended up being like 23-21. Just some epic, nonchalant, just incredible bag throwing by Luis Gonzalez. You thought they were good baseball players? Better cornhole players. And we're talking to Chafin, who's in like an all-star year, about his approach up on Chafin's Island up there on the bump. And he's like, Kowalski, I don't do nothing much but pitch and fish. And we're like, yeah, dude, but what's your approach up there? What are you thinking about? He goes, well, I throw pitch. They don't hit it. I just throw that pitch again. That's the mindset you need. Focus on what you can control. See the ball, be easy, hammer it. Everything else is just noise. You ever notice how some guys tighten up in big moments while others stay loose? That's perspective. Your mind dictates your body. When your brain is locked in, your hands are fast. Your body reacts smoothly, and you play like you're supposed to. When your mind is cluttered, you say the game is simple. We make it hard. Worrying about results, overanalyzing mechanics, what somebody said on the gram, doubting yourself, being timid, tension. You freeze. Your muscles tighten. Your reaction's slow, and suddenly you look like you've never swung a bat before. That's why you have to train your mind like you train your swing physically. In Romans 12:2, he says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So here's the big takeaways. You control how you see the game. Your mind is your most powerful tool or your biggest fucking weapon or problem, right? The way you interpret your failures as feedback will dictate whether you get better or stay stuck. If you play scared, if you make baseball life and death, you'll never be free in the box. In Proverbs 23:7, he says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Results don't define you. Your response does. You'll have slumps. You'll have games where you hit lasers right at guys. If you let things get in your head, you're done. And then finally, Romans 5:3-4. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And if you've been with us long enough, you know what hope stands for. Hold on, possibilities exist, or hearing other people's experiences. Or hold on, pain ends. Keep the big picture in mind, but lock in on the small picture. Your career is bigger than one at-bat, and each and every at-bat has a life and history of its own. But that AB is the only thing that matters when you're in it. So be in it. Be where your feet are. See, feel, and hear the dirt underneath your feet when you get to your box. Hunt and attack pitches in the zone. See the ball hit the ball. Put the fat part of the bat on the ball, hit it where it's pitched. Your success in this game will not be determined by talent alone, and we already know that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It will be determined by how you see the game. So if your perspective is weak, if your emotions control you, if you're constantly looking for excuses instead of adjustments, you're done. But if you build a strong perspective, if you change a new philosophy, if you add a new few disciplines, if you pick up a good idea and do it, if you understand what matters, controlling what you can control with your ape, your attitude, your appearance, your perspective, your performance, not the results of how you perform, but how you perform and your preparation, your energy, your effort, and your emotions. You do that, you've got a shot at being great. You've got a shot at going from where you are to where you want to be. So close the gap. That's the separator. Now it's on you. But whatever you do, work heartily as if for the Lord God and not for man. Para mis jugadoras latinas, más línea, más vida. Hasta el próximo recuerdo. Si quieres ser un jugadora disciplinado, comprometido y preparado en el futuro, empiezas esa mierda hoy. Se necesita lo que se necesita y lo mejor está por venir. Until next time, remember, if you want to be a disciplined, committed, and prepared ball player in the future, you start that shit today. It fucking takes what it takes. And the best is yet to come.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for